Hi Peaches, it's Shaaba. Welcome back to my channel and thank you for clicking on another video. It is that weekly segment where we give advice to those who need it by searching at the wonderful AITA forum over on Reddit. We do this because it's a little bit of fun, it's a little bit of drama. Who doesn't love a little bit of drama? But more importantly, truly, Scout's Honour. It's so that we can help expand our own mindsets and hopefully help a couple people along the way if they're in similar situations, or if perhaps the posters happen to see the video themselves. Who knows? Let's just remember, everyone, to be kind, because that is what's most important. Whilst everybody is welcome to give their own opinion, it doesn't mean that your opinion is more superior than other people's. And let's also remember that the term arsehole, am I the arsehole, is being used quite lightly. I don't like saying you are the arsehole. Quite often these people are not the arsehole. It's just the forum's way of deciding a winner and a loser. There are 3 badges to give out. There is no you're not an arsehole, but you're slightly in the wrong, my love. Let's go fishing for some arseholes. Am I the arsehole for telling my father it's none of his damn business if I want to lie in bed the entire weekend? I'm feeling sassy today. I don't know why. Oh! I, 26-year-old woman, work full-time Monday to Friday and I pay all the bills for my own apartment. I enjoy spending my entire weekend lying in bed watching Netflix, scrolling TikTok, or just napping. I absolutely admit this isn't a very productive way to spend my time. However, my bills are paid, my apartment is tidy, and I have no outstanding errands. Therefore, it's harming no one if I choose to stay in bed. Fair enough. Who is anyone to judge? The only possible tiny flag that I would see is if you're doing this every single weekend. Just be careful of doom scrolling, because spending any amount of time online, particularly on things like TikTok, any kind of social media, all weekend has been statistically shown to just have a negative effect on your well-being. But absolutely, you do you with your own time, okay? My father rang me this afternoon on WhatsApp and saw that I was still lying in bed in my pyjamas at 4 p.m. He started making little digs, of course he did, typical dad, saying good evening and asking me what I've done all day. I told him absolutely nothing, to which he said it was ridiculous that I felt it was acceptable to laze about in bed all day, to which I responded that it's none of his damn business if I want to lie in bed all weekend, and abruptly ended the call. I feel like I'm in the right, but my aunt and best friend seems to think I'm the arsehole. Am I the arsehole? I don't think you are the arsehole. You are not the arsehole. Kaplooey. If you don't have any outstanding things, if you truly just have free time, I'm so happy that you spend it the way that you want to spend it. I wish I could do that. Honestly, the most golden days that I have are when I'm doing nothing. Just lying in bed or sitting on the sofa, cuddling up to my partner or cats, watching TV that I want to watch or listening to music that I want to listen to. I'm jealous that you get to do that every weekend, and I wonder maybe if that's where dad is coming from. Sounds like maybe you don't have the obligations that he does and he's also feeling envious, and sometimes we can project onto other people in that way. We don't like seeing other people have the happiness that we want, even if we don't mean to. It's an unconscious thing. But yes, I definitely say your dad's the arsehole in this situation. I mean, you haven't said that you don't do anything during the week, so unless he thinks that you're like under socialising or something, but there is no evidence of that at all, just because you happen to be in bed at 4 p.m. on a weekend when you have nothing else to do. What do other people have to say? Not the arsehole. I always think it's amazing how some parents continue to psychologically harm their children as adults. Lol. Very sad to see, but very true. Sadly, it's just one of those things, isn't it? He probably has a deeply unfulfilling life and is super mad that his daughter is doing what she wants to do, not what the propaganda he swallows tells him she should want to do. That's a very political way to say a very accurate point, right? That I feel is being summed up really across this forum. Not the arsehole. That's the beauty of being an adult. Good for you. Do you know one of the moments that I really remember, like defining my adulthood, was when Jamie woke me up at 2 a.m. I was very annoyed that he woke me up at 2 a.m. by the way, just to set the record straight. And he went, Shaaba, I really need cornflakes, but we didn't have any at our flat at the time, so we walked to our 24 hours open Tesco at 2 a.m. to get him cornflakes, and I just had a real craving for grapes, so I bought grapes and we came home and we just ate cornflakes and grapes. And initially I was like, we can't do that, and I was like, wait, why can't we do that? And then we did that and it was great. Am I the arsehole for not paying for my stepmom's funeral? When I, 27-year-old man, was 6, I lost my mum. She died giving birth to my siblings, both 21, girl and boy. When I was 9, my dad met my stepmother. Although I always loved my stepmom, I never called her mum. The maximum I would do is refer to her and my dad as my parents. I think that is totally fine. In my lifetime, I have dealt with 2 step-parents, both polar opposite. One insisted on labels, one did not. And honestly, it doesn't work. You can't force these things. When I was 18, my stepmom asked me and my siblings if she could adopt us. My siblings said yes, but I refused. I explained that I loved her, but I wanted to keep my mum as my legal mum. I can understand that. I'm trying to put myself in the stepmom's position. I feel like if I'd heard that, I would be hurt, because I would be like, ooh, this is a big thing that I wanted to do, but I would also understand and respect that somebody else might, even if I didn't see it that way, someone else might see it as overwriting somebody very important, and I would totally walk away. I mean, not walk away, but respect the decision and continue just being a stepmom without adopting. From that moment, she started to treat me differently. I moved out soon after, but I would always visit. She was cordial to me, like you are with strangers. She introduced my siblings as her kids and me as her husband's son. Me and my dad tried to talk to her, but she just brushed us off, saying that it was all in our head. Sure it was. 3 years ago, me and my sister became parents. Cute, congratulations. With my son, my stepmom would be impatient and rude, but with my niece, she would be the calmest person in the world. This double standards is really frustrating me. I had enough and I asked what did I do for her to go 180 on me. She said I was reaping what I sowed, that I rejected her as a mum, so she rejected me as a son. Wow. You want to be a mum figure and you're pulling this childish bullshit. Make that make sense. After that, I gave up on our relationship. We were cordial and that was it. My dad tried many times to reconcile us, to no avail. 1.5 years ago, she got diagnosed with a terminal illness. Out of family, I'm the most well off, so my father called me and asked me to pay for her treatments. PSA, just because one out of a group of people might have money doesn't then make it their onus to pay for anything that anybody else wants. Just because they can doesn't mean that they should. I'm not specifically talking about this situation, we don't know enough about it. I'm just saying as a blanket rule, that's not okay. I visited and had a talk with her. She apologised for treating me badly and said that she loved me like a son and that she had a bad reaction to my refusal of the adoption and regrets it. Well, at least there was an apology. I'm assuming it's genuine. She died a week ago and I only found out because my father called and explained that she didn't want me there because she only wanted family. Just to really not make any assumptions, when you say the dad said she only wanted family, was the dad aware that that chat had taken place? Was it her specific stipulation that she didn't want you, OP, there? Or did the dad think that because of how she treated you before the apology from her, that she wouldn't have wanted you to be there? Because that's a very big distinction. If she apologised and genuinely regrets it and you genuinely forgive her, this was just a point of bad miscommunication. My optimistic brain is really trying not to think is actually the case, because it does actually seem like it's probably the case. It's just really frustrating. My siblings have approached me and asked me to pay for her funeral expenses and I've refused. They called me an arsehole, saying that I couldn't be mad for being excluded because I did it myself when I refused to be adopted. No, you didn't, babe. My wife is on my side, and even though my dad says he understands me, he says that I should do it for my siblings because my stepmom was their mum. No. Dad is totally being an arsehole here. Siblings are being an arsehole. Dad is being manipulative. That is really not okay. Oh, that makes me very sad. But you're not the arsehole, sweetheart. You are not the arsehole. And I'm assuming that you did pay for the medical treatment because it didn't say otherwise. Did you pay for treatment and they want the funeral paid for? Yes. So it's not like you haven't tried to help. I feel very sorry for you. That's an incredibly difficult position to be put in. Did she want you to be there at the funeral? Because there's no way in hell that anyone, sorry, I shouldn't be using the word hell in this situation. There is just no way that someone would expect you to pay for a funeral that you're not going to attend. And if she didn't want you to attend, then really you're just honouring her by not doing that. Right? I'm so sorry that you've been put in that position, and I really hope that your family sees sense. Your dad, however, tut, very big arsehole, and your siblings are also quite arseholey too. Should we see what other people have to say? Not the arsehole at all. Man, it's astounding how many people think it's appropriate to spend other people's money because they have it. I get that on a societal level for various reasons, but where individuals are concerned, I'd say that you have no obligation, even if you guys got along. Your stepmom sounds like she was an embittered person who craved holding on to a good grudge. I would be inclined to agree. It sounds so bad. And I don't want to make assumptions. So again, maybe like have a chat with your dad. I just specifically want to iron out the fact, totally make sure that after you had the conversation where you apologised, because there was no indication as to the timing of that and the level of communication that possibly happened between her and your dad. Maybe they didn't talk about it. I know it was 1.5 years ago. I'm just trying not to make assumptions. Not the asshole. She cut you out in many ways. Family should pay her bills. Wait, they're not only asking you to pay for the funeral, they're asking you to pay when you're not even invited? Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way. Not the asshole. To be fair, that's not what I was thinking. I was absolutely thinking that if you were paying, you were going to go. But actually, I think that probably disrespects your stepmom more. The respectful thing to do, if she really holds those views, is to not go, because she would not have wanted that. And if your siblings and your dad absolutely thought that you were supposed to be paying and then not going, well, I refuse to believe that anyone would be that evil. All right. No assholes as of yet. That's good. Should we do one more? Am I the asshole for making my son cook his own suppers after demanding special accommodations? These titles are always so intriguing. Like, I never know which way it's gonna go. I'm a 37-year-old woman, a single mother for 2 sons. Jackson, 15, and James, 10. James has a lot of food issues. He's autistic, so he can't have certain textures or tastes without a meltdown, and he's allergic to gluten, and mango, banana, apple, strawberry, and potato. I didn't know people could be allergic to potato. I mean, I guess that makes sense. People could be allergic to water. That is a dietary requirement list. Needless to say, meals are tough at this house, but I usually find something to make that everybody likes. Jackson recently decided that he wanted to be vegetarian and that I have to cook vegetarian meals every night. I said no. Doing that would get rid of most meals I can make for James, and I don't have enough time to make 2 meals. I work until 5:30 and I can't make it in the mornings either. He said if I make suppers according to James's taste, I should make some according to his. I feel like maybe Jackson is requesting something else. Maybe getting a read between the lines here, you know? He never said that he didn't like the food I made before. He ate everything on his plate without complaint. I know he likes what I made before. I said it was different. James can't help his sensitivities, but Jackson can. Oh, that's a really difficult position to be in as well. I get that Jackson's 15. I get that he's a new vegetarian, but I'm not sure if we can say that he can help wanting to be vegetarian. Oh, that's such an interesting question. But instinctually, and I think I'm going to go with my gut on this one, I just don't think that's the right thing to say. I understand that an allergy is very different to a diet that you choose to follow, but I feel like in that sense, being halal or being kosher is the same as being vegetarian. It's not because of an allergy, it is an active choice that you are making to follow it. But is it really considered a choice if what you're being led by is morals and belief that are so strongly held? I wouldn't take kindly to it being called a choice. He still said it was unfair, so I said if he wanted it so bad, he could make it himself. I'd buy some stuff for him, but if he didn't like our food, he could make his own. He told his dad, Mark, we divorced 6 years ago and he only sees him 2 days a month. And Mark said I was being the arsehole for only accommodating one kid, and maybe I was in the wrong. I probably could have made meals for Jackson every few nights, but I refused. Am I the arsehole? There's a little edit here as well. Jackson knows how to cook. The side foods I usually make as vegetarian, I try to make foods that both kids like. Sometimes it doesn't work. Also, whenever James isn't there, I make whatever Jackson likes about 2 nights a week. This is a tricky one. So much of me is like, oh, let's go and see what the people want to say, but I don't want to do that yet. I feel like this might be controversial. This is a sad, reluctant badge being given. I do believe maybe you are the asshole. Sadly and reluctantly. I totally appreciate how difficult it is to have dependents, to feel the desperation to cater for multiple dependents who have different requirements when you have no time. However, the 2 things that are leading me to give this very reluctant badge is that number 1, I don't think that Jackson's talking about the food. I think what's happening here is food is a manifestation, might be totally wrong, but it sounds like food is a manifestation of where Jackson feels you are favouring one over the other. And whether you consider it a need or a choice, 2 of your children are coming to you with requirements, and I feel like as a parent we should be doing everything that we can to make that happen and to make it balanced, right? I don't have experience of being in a family where one of my siblings requires a lot of care. Like there's that level of imbalance, but from everything that I've read about in psychology journals during my research and seen on TV shows is that whenever that does happen, there is a real big need to make sure that accommodation is balanced and that the other child is also being heard. And this just sounds like one of those prime examples where Jackson feels like he's not being heard and he's using food as a way to be like, Mum, please pay attention to me too. I just think it could be not great for the well-being of Jackson to be told, no, sorry, this is another occasion where your brother comes first, particularly with something as important with food, and particularly when it's being brought on by seemingly some form of moral need to not eat meat. And that interlinks with my second reason why I reluctantly give the badge, and that's because I actually think it's really easy in today's day and age. Whoa. Not really easy, but easy enough to make vegetarian accommodation for a lot of meals that actually don't require too much effort or expense. If you'd said this to me about 10 or 15 years ago, I would agree with you. Following a vegetarian lifestyle was not necessarily easy because there was so few options of vegetarian meals out there. But now every single restaurant and every single supermarket has so many veggie options. So even if James wanted chicken nuggets for a meal, right, or a chicken breast, how difficult would it really be to make sure that in your freezer even, right, you had a veggie Kiev or vegan nuggets or a little portobello mushroom that you could also cook up for Jackson? And perhaps I'm talking from a place of privilege because I do have money, like I'm not on the poverty line, but I'm trying to consider that too. And I just think that there are ways that Jackson could be accommodated without saying a full-out no. And if it's a timing thing that's still an issue, perhaps having both of the boys in the kitchen to help you cook, or even at least Jackson in the kitchen to help you cook, especially if you say that Jackson does cook. There are times where I felt unsure about the badge giving during this series of videos. This is one of the ones where I feel unsure. Here we go. He's crying out for your attention in the only way he thinks might work. Your response to the issue will be remembered for better or for worse. Somebody responded to that and said, agreed, not an arsehole. I think OP is managing the best she can and trying to keep her own sanity with a lot going on. I totally agree. She's managing the best she can and there is a lot going on. I just think sometimes when we think of a totally new diet, you're like, oh my god, I couldn't do this. Whereas if you maybe broke it down, particularly for a child and where you're already making a lot of vegetarian side dishes, I feel like maybe it's one of those things that might be easier to implement, more overwhelming to think about than actually do. However, I think Jackson also wants to feel accommodated too, which isn't uncommon for siblings of those with special needs. Oh, soft you are the arsehole. Soft you are the arsehole. I like that phrase. I am the twin fraternal brother of an autistic man. Growing up, it was hard for me to feel like what I wanted and who I was all always took second place to my brother's immediate needs. As an adult now, I understand he can't help it, while sometimes I can, but you need to make sure both of your sons feel like they matter. I get that you can't make 2 different meals every night, but maybe you could have told him that you want to support him and talk out some ways to do it without straining either of you overly much. This is on the same page to what I was thinking. Could Jackson help cook every other night? Could you get him some microwavable meals or easy to cook meal stuff and tell him to go nuts with it? The important message here is to make him feel heard. I love that, and I love that this is coming from somebody who was in the position of Jackson and James, but in the future. You are the asshole. He's obviously upset that he's been sidelined for his brother, and you've confirmed you'll continue to do so. Soft, you are the asshole. Again, another soft one. Sounds like you're stretched thin. 2 phrases that should not be going together. A compromise, maybe, to work together and meal prep on the weekends, learn recipes and teach your older son how to cook. You could get ready meals to make the work nights easier for everyone. Okay, I feel like maybe I was on the same page as the forum, and I shouldn't have been as nervous with what I was saying, but as always, my loves, it would be really useful to hear your points of view. What do you think about all of the scenarios? I feel we caught one arsehole that we didn't want to catch and would really ideally like to put back in the water. I do just want to say to the OP of that last post, should you ever see this video, I totally appreciate that you're trying your best. And like with many people, honestly, I think 50% of the time that we say you are the arsehole and hold up the you are the arsehole badges here, people aren't meaning to be arseholes. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It's actually a really bad name for the system. It just means that perhaps there's something that you can do to improve, and in this situation, you're not the one making things better, but perhaps making things slightly worse, even if you don't mean to. Hopefully, after seeing some of the responses here, can get some really great ideas for vegetarian cooking, and based on other people's experiences, what Jackson is really asking for. Because vegetarian meal doesn't just mean a vegetarian meal in this case. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll catch you next time with another video. Be kind and have a great day. Bye.